Hello and welcome to Benocam. Today we are back looking at military vehicles, and in particular the CVRT Scorpion project, which I bought last year. This is part 2 of its restoration. So this is how it's looking at the moment. So yeah, it really is coming on from how I first got it. Just as a quick reminder, this is how it looked when we first picked the vehicle up. This was one of a whole row of Scorpion CVRTs which were for sale, but I chose this particular vehicle because it had such an interesting history. And yeah, this was the one which we thought we'd restore, and this is how we first picked it up and brought it back. So we got stuck into the restoration project, which initially was, we took the turret off and we removed its tracks and began to strip the whole project right down. So all the insides came out. It was in very poor condition. Everything was in a bad way. It had been left outside in the rain for a long time, and everything seemed pretty wrecked on it, unfortunately. All the other bits will have to be replaced. So what we've done is we've now pushed it into the shed, and then I set about sandblasting it, which was the removal of all the layers of different paint and cleaning it right back to bare metal, and it actually came up really nice. This is the sandblasting in process, and yeah, the whole vehicle started to really look much better than it had, bringing it right back. There wasn't a lot of corrosion, deep corrosion on it. It was mostly surface rust and oxidization of the aluminium, which didn't cause a lot of deep pitting, so it's come up really nice. And then we got some etch primer on, because it's aluminium. You have to put etch primer on to get the paint to chemically stick to the aluminium, this is the primer going on, which again, all of a sudden it started to look a lot better than it ever had. And then we went for the layers of sand colored NATO stone. So this is the original color which it would have been when it was in the Gulf War. It really seemed a shame not to put it back to actually how it looked when it was in the first Gulf War. So this is it going into its correct colors. So yeah, this is how the vehicle is looking now. It's really coming along quite nicely. This side bin here actually came with it, but the turret bins, I managed to locate them, managed to buy them. Got both sides of them. And then this side hull bin, I have actually located, I just haven't picked it up yet. So I have got another hull bin to go here. And then there's also the Chieftain half bins which go on the front of that. So yeah, the whole thing's just really starting to look good now that it's all been cleaned up and painted. So I already did show you when I first bought this vehicle in part 1 the original gearbox which came out of it, which is it's just got masses of rainwater damage. I was going to have a go at freeing this gearbox up and basically taking it all apart, and then I managed to find a reconditioned one for sale, so it just made sense to buy that. And I know that this gearbox is fully ready to go, so this can be dropped in, and we know that this one's going to be fine, which is really good. So that's all looking nice. And then moving on to the engines, I can't remember if we showed you the original engine in the first video, but this is the Jaguar, I think it's 4.2 litre straight 6. This is the engine which actually came out of this vehicle. So this engine again has got masses of water damage. I mean, you look at some of these pipes here. That's one of the water pipes, look, which goes to the heat exchanger. Look at that, look. Everything on this has just got so much damage. I was going to have a go again at reviving this engine and getting it going, and I know that it will be an awful lot of work. I've never ever seen an engine before that's been so rusty that the spark plugs have actually completely disintegrated. Look at them. So again, rather than try and revive its existing engine, which may or may not have been any good, in this crate right here we have got something very nice. Let me show you. So this is the replacement engine. I was lucky enough to find a company which still had a number of these reconditioned engines, which is really nice. This is the Jaguar J60 engine, exactly the same as the one which we've taken out, but this isn't a brand new engine, this is a reconditioned engine, so this has been all checked over and gone through. And yeah, it's really nice to have a new engine. Not only is the engine itself good, but it has a new starter motor on it, it has all the other bits and pieces, new electronics, and it's also got the heat exchanger as well. So it's really nice to have something which has all been checked and good. This is a year or two old. I believe this is 2002 this engine was done, so hopefully it's good. There's no guarantee that it will be okay, but it's an awful lot easier than trying to recommission this one. This one I think is a little bit gone past it, but we shall save it for spares. It's all been very well wrapped up and preserved. You can see that they've taped up and covered all the electronic-y bits, and everything moves really nicely on it. So fairly hopeful that this is going to be a good engine, and it's going to be really nice to just be able to drop this and the new gearbox in and know that we've got all good mechanical side. So going back to the interior, I'm going to show you a slight problem we still have with the vehicle, which I've just got to remove this cover. So with that front cover now removed, we can show you a bit further inside the vehicle, and you can see right up in there, I've cleaned all that right out and all back together, and this is where the steering levers and the brakes and the accelerator all fit. This is the driver's control area. This has all been removed for refurbishment and cleaned all up, and you can see this is where the gearbox fits. So the gearbox and steering box fits here, engine fits right there, and this is where I can show you where I've still got quite an issue we still need to resolve. So you can see on this side, this is the main brake. On that side, that's all good, and you can see that when we come to this final drive, because it's all disconnected, this one just turns as it should, but the other side I couldn't get to turn. This other final drive seems to be locked up. So what I've done is I've removed the brake caliper, which is this here, which is all going to need renewing anyway because it's all pretty bad condition, but there's nothing holding that now. I've also removed the handbrake band as well, because I was worried the handbrake band was holding it. But if we go here and give it a good wiggle, there's something jamming that, and I don't know what it is. So unfortunately this final drive's all going to have to come out, and we're going to have a good look at that before we try and power that, which is a bit of a shame, but it can all be done with enough time and money thrown at it. So another thing I'm going to unfortunately have to buy is another set of tracks. These are the tracks that came off, which did all seem to be loose and seem to be okay, but actually when you look at them, they're really, really bad. There's area of these tracks which are so corroded away, I'm not entirely sure it's a very good idea to try and power them really. Look at these nuts. These nuts are actually holding the pins of the tracks together, and you can see this. There's very little left of some of them, so I'm not entirely sure we want to be bombing down the road at whatever speed it's going to do, only to find the track suddenly disintegrate on us. So that's another unfortunate expenditure, but it's going to be very important for both safety and reliability of not breaking down somewhere and needing a tow home, which is always important. So one other thing I wanted to show you, if I just jump up on here, is the gun. When we cleaned the gun up, it had this lovely emblem or royal cipher. You can just see it here. It's partly obscured now by the gun shroud, but when we first sandblasted this, it come up with this lovely emblem I had no idea was there, hidden underneath the paint. And yeah, it's really nice to see that, even though he has been deactivated now. It's still nice to have that still intact. And yeah, this is the top of the turret. I've still got all the periscopes and that duct taped up from painting. And I can also show you, I managed to find in a shop a round for it. So this is a 76mm HE round. This one's actually been fired. If you look here, you can see the marks in the copper drive band. That shows those marks there are the marks for the rifling. So if you look up in the gun there, you can see the rifling marks. That's what cause those marks in the copper. When they're not fired, that's all smooth. You can see there that it's all being deactivated and is all inert. So I think it's filled with sand to represent the weight of it. But it's going to be really nice to try and get hold of a couple of them really, and I can put them in the racks inside. That look really brilliant. Right, we better show you inside, show you some of the progress we've made in here. Right. So that is the turret basket now all back together, all on its rollers. And as you can see, that rolls a lot easier now than it did. Just got the RBJ to finish putting back together. And yeah, it's starting to look a little bit tidier in here now. Still a lot to do, still an awful lot of turret pieces to clean up and get back together. I've got the seats to go back in as well. The seats obviously aren't in it at the moment. So yeah, it has taken me a while to film part 2 of the Scorpion restoration project. And one of the reasons for that is I keep getting sidetracked by these other vehicles. So this year, for the first year, was the first year I had the Abbott Road registered, so road legal. So I've been taking that to shows and we've been doing various things with that. That's been really good fun. I've put a link in the description of a few of the things that we've done with that, which has been, it's been really good driving that around. And the Stalwart as well, which I've got running and driving and stopping, importantly, but I haven't got that swimming yet. So I have been slowly working away at that. I've got a little bit of welding to do on that, and that's not actually road registered yet. I'd like to try and get that on the road if I can, but yeah, both the Stalwart and the Abbott, I've been sidetracking my efforts somewhat, but both of these two are now in working condition, which is always really nice. So yeah, we just need to throw a nice lot more time back to the Scorpion, which we will do, and it'll be really, really good to get this running and driving, which isn't really that far away. I know there is quite a lot of work to do still, but we just need to fit these new components, and we need to completely renew the braking system and the steering system. And then it's moving on to the electrics. There's actually the driver's instrument panel, which is still in there. That's the original one. I've actually got a replacement for that because that's completely shot, I believe. And I also have to trace a lot of these other wires and figure out where they all go. It's a bit of a... Right, so that's it for this one, I'm afraid. Sorry for it being not a very exciting video, this one. But in part 3, which is the next installment, we will have this vehicle fully operational, running and driving. And we will be able to drive it certainly around here, maybe even have it road legal by then. That's the ultimate goal really, just to have it road legal. And yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe because I've got plenty of other military vehicle videos on my channel. And we will catch you again soon for more videos.